We know that messaging and storytelling is really important, especially on our website. It helps people connect to us, engage with us, understand what we do. But a lot of times we fall short in not telling the whole story, not really sharing a lot about the transformation and expanding on the transformation and how it impacts the community that we serve. And so today I have Daniel Molina joining me today to really talk about how we can engage people on our websites, how we can encourage them to dive deeper with us, how we can encourage them to really get excited about the work that we're doing, and how their support is going to help us take our work to the next level. Daniel Molina is an accomplished marketing professional and entrepreneur owning Red Palm Studios since 2002. With extensive experience and knowledge in the latest web trends, he has successfully worked with high-profile clients and small business startups, delivering maximum exposure. As a passionate entrepreneur, Daniel Molina believes in giving back to the community and making a positive impact. Through various initiatives and partnerships, he actively engages in community outreach, addressing social issues, and supporting local causes. Daniel's dedication to creating a better society extends beyond business, demonstrating his commitment to improving lives and fostering a sense of unity. And so I love this conversation because it's a personal passion of his giving back, as well as experience that he has marketing businesses for years and just helping you kind of really take the best of both worlds. What are the strategies that are going to really help you? And then how do you take that story to the next level? How do you connect emotionally to the people that are engaging with your organization? So that is what we are talking about in this episode. But before we get to it, this episode is brought to you by Do Good University. This is a unique membership for nonprofit professionals where you get access to on-demand courses and trainings from everything from grant writing from A to Z to event planning to marketing, email marketing, your website, major giving campaigns, board management, all of the things at your fingertips whenever you need it. And beyond that, Patrick Kirby, who founded Do Good University, and myself go live every single week to answer your questions. So you can come with anything that you're struggling with or just learn from those that are going through the same things you are and get inspired by the ways that they're working through it, how they're making those asks, how they're getting that awareness for their organization. It's a lot of fun. And if you go to thefirstclick.net/DGU, the letter U, you can find a link to get 2 free weeks inside of Do Good University. So you can come hang out with us, check it out, see what it's all about, and see if it's the right fit for you. Again, that's thefirstclick.net/DGU. There's also a bonus podcast episode on that page that I did with Patrick, talking about what is so great about DGU, why is it the place for you, and why is coming together in community with other nonprofit professionals such a major impact on your growth and your ability to succeed and surpass your goals. Let's get into the episode. You're listening to the Digital Marketing Therapy Podcast. I'm your host, Sammy Bedell-Mulhern. Each month, we dive deep into a digital marketing or fundraising strategy that you can implement in your organization. Each week, you'll hear from guest experts, nonprofits, and myself on best practices, tips, and resources to help you raise more money online and reach your organizational goals. Hey, friends, please join me in welcoming Daniel Molina to the podcast. Daniel, thanks for being here.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited for this conversation because we love websites here on this podcast because I do think that they are really so important for any organization to have. But before we kind of jump into some strategies, why do you also feel that websites are something that we want to make sure we're taking care of as part of our marketing strategy?
Yeah. So, websites as always has been kind of like your storefront, right? And so even more in this day and age where there's a lot of companies, organizations that they don't have an office. You can't just go knock on their door and then see and experience them, right? And so you want to have, and then really people, when they do their due diligence, they're looking at your website, they're looking at your social media, they're looking at, okay, who is this company? What's your online presence looks like, and usually social media would be like the hook that gets them into the website. Oh, I want to know more about this company. And so if you don't have a website that kicks butt and does a good job of telling the story and everything that we were going to probably talk about today, then you're going to miss out on opportunities to be able to fundraise or get people to get volunteer or be involved in what you're doing.
Yeah, so good. So, I love that you already brought up storytelling because we struggle with this a lot with our clients in that the website, the way it looks isn't as important as the information that's on it. So maybe share a little bit about your thoughts on the power of storytelling and the power of the messaging on your website and why that is the most important thing, not just the colors and the images and the graphics.
Yeah, we can obviously. I mean, I went to college studying. I had like 1 or 2 semesters about graphic design, color theory, and how to position things and all that. And so I am very familiar with making things look beautiful and aesthetically pleasing. But unfortunately, in today's day and age, with so many templates and so many easy ways to build websites, having a pretty website is not going to get you people to get behind what you're doing. It's the story behind it,
Mm-hmm.
right? I always say the value proposition. Like, why should I give to your organization? What makes you special? Everybody and the grandma wants money from me. And so why should I get
Yeah.
involved with yours? And so when I think about your website, a lot of times when I go to websites and assess them, especially in the nonprofit world, they ask for marriage too soon. Donate, 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 donate. We need your money, without telling the story, without letting
Mm-hmm.
the person going to find out more about your organization know, hey, what do you guys do? And where does, and if I was going to donate, where does that money go? Is it just a bunch of
Mm-hmm.
successful people on the board that makes money, and or is it really going to the people? I mean, especially in this day and age, some nonprofits, they have black eyes, because not because they did anything wrong, but because there's been some shadiness sometimes in the industry of organizations. So how do you separate yourself from that, right? And I think the way you do that is making sure that you understand what are people looking for when they go to your website. How do they communicate? So, I mean, how are people going to communicate it? So if you just have photos, and a lot of text, they'll probably ignore your page. Think about Instagram when it first started. Instagram was only photos. Instagram was photos, and it was just a square photo with limited text. But now Instagram's almost becoming another YouTube, right? Every other post
Mm-hmm.
is a video. Most people don't even look at the photos anymore. They just go video, reel after reel after reel. And why is that? Because humans, we want to be entertained. We're lazy. We don't want to read a lot of content. And so we want to you tell me what you're about with video. And what's cool about video is you say that the saying of a photo, what's that? A photo is, oh my gosh, what's that saying?
Like a
you
picture
know,
paints 1,000 words.
yeah, a picture paints 1,000 words. So, me being a geek in the world of video production, it's like there's 29 frames per second. So think about how many frames, how many pictures within, 1 second. And so if you have video where you have audio,
Yeah.
nice music, and people talking and motion, and really trying to share them, hey, here's who we're about and here's what we do, that will do way better than the photo. If if a picture could paint
Mm-hmm.
1,000 words, imagine what video can do, right? When you can actually touch the emotion and share and not manipulate, but it's just like, hey, here's who we are, here's what we believe in, and here's what we want to get behind. So video would be probably your most important investment, second to your website, and put that bad boy up front and center. Let them watch 30 seconds. Ooh, I want more. Then add the photo, then add like, hey, here's where your money's going. So video, here's where your
Yeah.
money's going. Here's the people we're helping. Here's how many lives we changed, or here's how many moms we changed. Here's whatever it is, you have to share the fruit. Video, what's going to experience, what the volunteer, don't just talk to the donors. You got to talk to the volunteers, and you got to talk to the donors all at the same time. And so,
Mm.
man, I want to be a part of that. I want to be involved in that. Or man, I want to donate. I want to sow into that, right? Then you have like, here's the fruit. Here's what we've been doing. Then you could talk about all the other projects and stuff like that, and all the content and the photos and the text. Content's good, but you first got to wow them first, get them to buy in. Yes, I want to be a part of that. Then you can have everything else. But that's my opinion, how you're going to convert or have more people get involved with what you're doing.
No, I agree with that. So many good things that you said, because uh, we tend to want to like word vomit everything that we do, and that's overwhelming. And so, to your point, like, yes, with video, it's really impactful and allows us to kind of connect emotionally, build that trust, get to know an organization. And also, if I want to geek out and dive deeper into some of those things, having that content on the website that's thoughtfully placed where I can make sure I get there eventually. But I just need to kind of know who you are, what you do first. So I think that was really good. I love video. But I want to kind of ask you, when it comes to our storytelling, when we're creating these videos, these scripts, when we're trying to explain to people what we do, your thoughts, because I've seen a shift in the kind of doom and gloom. Like, we always bring up the ASPCA commercials where they show this, six sad puppies that are left out in the cold, versus them showing commercials of those puppies in happy homes where they're, super, their life has changed, yada, 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 right? So kind of your feelings on more aspirational type content versus kind of the, I don't want to say doom and gloom, but like the dark or the bad, the reason why you started doing the work that you're doing in the first place, the problem you're solving. Kind of how are you seeing that language shift in our storytelling as it relates to video and just content on our websites?
That's a great question. And it's a tough question to answer, because at the end of the day, my wife and I talk about this. She said, we need a good news channel, just a good news channel.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, and what I tell her, that won't make money. It won't survive. So what are you talking about? People want to hear about good news all the time. I'm like, yes, like people who are very positive and all that. But even people like that, like, okay, cool, another awesome thing. Great. What unfortunately sells is the doom and gloom. What unfortunately sells is the drama. It's the gossip. It's the, oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened, right? That sells.
Yeah.
And that's why these news media places continue to grow, because they cover a bunch of stuff that we don't even need to know. Like, why do I need to know what's happening in New York? Like, I live in Hawaii and I need local news to help my community here, right? But something happened, oh my gosh. Now, if it affects us as a state or federal level, okay, I want to know about it. But there's so much stuff out there that I don't need to know what happened over there, right? But because we want to know everybody's business and like, oh, I can't believe that happened, it sells. So as a nonprofit or a organization trying to compete is what we're doing. We're competing with that entertainment. It's hard to just say, here's all the fruit of things happening, because unfortunately people may be like, oh, okay, whatever. But if you do see that puppy who's skinny and flies are all over it, and it's like, oh, ew, what happened to that? And then they're gonna watch it, and then there's gonna show the progress. I mean, it happens to me. There's this guy in Asia. I don't know. It's in Chinese or Japanese or whatever. I don't even know what they're saying, but it feeds me this little puppy that's on the street. He picks him up, looks like they're about dead, and he goes, gives him a bath, feeds him, and I follow the whole story of 90 seconds of now that it's healthy, fur's healthy, the puppy's all happy, and I don't even know what they're saying, but I like the visual. Yeah. Right. But it's because people like a redemptive story. So don't see it as a gloom and doom. See it as a redemptive story. Nonprofits usually are trying to solve problems and help people. And so the redemptive story is what's selling, not the doom and gloom. So if you miss what happened to how you got there, and you just only show the end of it, then it's like half the story. But the climax is when that guy picked up the puppy and said, I'm going to help you. Like, that's the climax. And so everyone loves the climax of the story. So I wouldn't shy away from hey, here's the problem. People are dying. Drugs in this neighborhood, teenagers without fathers, whatever it is, single moms can't afford to whatever. Show the depravity and show where no one's helping, the climax. But here we are, here you are helping us help them. And then here's the redemptive story, right? But that's every movie. Think about it. You watch a movie and there's no climax. There's no man, that was a crappy movie. Where was the climax? Do you know what the climax was? Right. And so, but that's storytelling, right? That's just good storytelling. Is you have a beginning. Ooh, what happened there? Usually the crime scene. Someone died in the beginning. Well, who did it? And then there's a climax, and then we find out this, right. So it's kind of like that. It's show what's going on in the beginning of dang, that happened, and then the climax and then the redemptive story. So I hope I answered that. It's sure, we don't want, it's not that we're copying other people. It's just how humans respond to stories. And we want a good stories. We want to know what's the problem, what's the solution, and then how do you solve that, and what's the fruit of that. And I think that is what sells. That's the kind of content you want on your website.
Well, and I think to your point, it's not an either or situation. It's not I think a lot of times people just show the beginning, the problem, and just say, okay, help us fix the problem. But what you're saying is when we take it all the way through to the end and show how we are solving the problem. Now, instead of just being like, oh, you feel bad for these people, so or this cause or this situation, so you should give, you're saying, hey, now that you know this exists and that we can help, you can be the hero in this story also. Like, you're kind of
Yes.
almost letting them feel like they're a part of it versus just throwing money at a situation. They are part of the solution in a much more meaningful way because you've crafted that beautiful story. Now, the tricky part is in this day and age, distilling that all down into like a 90-second video clip or, a short blurb on your website. And so I think maybe that's where people feel stuck. And how do we take this big, massive thing and make it small or short enough that we can communicate it in a short period of time?
Yeah, and I think there's long form content and short form content, right? And now short form content is exploding. So I think what you do is you have both. You have the long form content and then you have the short form, right? But you want to tell that story even in 60 seconds. Ew, this is what happened. Here's how you got involved or how we get involved, and here's a redemptive story. That can happen in 60 seconds because, if you just draw out, the before, image after image after, okay, I got it, right? Maybe one or two image of what the problem is, and then you have volunteers helping, whatever it is, or, maybe a counselor, or maybe handing them money, or they're grocery shopping, or whatever it is. Then show like, here's how we help, and then show, and then in the last, 5 to 10 seconds is them happy and enjoying their family, or the puppy healthy, or the grandma has a new wheelchair, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
That can happen in 60 seconds, right? To just capture their attention. Ooh, man, that's what you do. Someone could figure out, okay, I know what you do. Then you can have a long form content, a 10-minute video where you have interviews, B-roll shots, past events. Then you can have a long form content, 3 to 6 minutes on your page where they can watch the whole thing and say, oh, wow, who wants more detail? Right, to explain more. Because what happens is we try to fit in, have this NASCAR syndrome where we want all the different logos on the, look who's all involved in it. And you don't want that, because like to your point, what you said earlier, it becomes overwhelming. It's like, man, you want to throw everything on the website, all this content, and I have no idea what to look at first, right? And so I think if you just only have the doom and gloom, I don't think that's a good story. I think that's half the truth of what you do. And then to your point, you're just trying to make people sad and feel sorry for you. Like, it's like, no, here's the doom and gloom. Here's the hero, and you could be a part of a hero. And then here's the fruit, which is the people who were affected are now redemptive, and now they're living a better life. Now you help them. That should always be together. And if it's 60 seconds, 90, 10 minutes, an hour, that always should be it, because that's just, again, the way humans love to watch a good movie or a good content. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is great. I think talking about the types of content you want to have on your website, super important. And you brought up kind of like goals and messaging a couple times. So it's also kind of what is the purpose of our website as far as calls to action? So we've got these great videos. We've got our content cleaned up, our storytelling. We're really kind of engaging with our audience. Now they're coming to the website, they're interacting. And then the conversions are the next part, right? Like making sure that people have an opportunity to engage with us. At the beginning, you said one of the biggest mistakes people make is, they want you to the conversion is donate, right? And that's the thing that they want you to do first. And not everybody's there. So what other types of conversions can we kind of aim for with some of these pieces, especially to kind of the more top of funnel or like new people that are discovering our organization that aren't ready to give just yet?
Yeah, so I don't mind having 3 buttons to say volunteer, donate, usually 2, but then volunteer, donate, and get help. Okay, what if that person needs help? They're going to your site, and so I guess there's really 3 audience. It's the person that needs help. So the person that needs help, the person who wants to volunteer, and the person who wants to donate. That video has to talk to 3. Oh, they can help me. That's me. Or, man, I want to help. Or, man, I want to give, right? And so, and you got to hire the right creatives and people to tell that story, right? And so, that's part of the battle of like, okay, who could tell that story the best, right? For that, you're going to have to find your local videographer that, tells the story. But those 3 audience, so those 3 buttons is, okay, get help, get volunteer, and then donate. So you could still always have it where you can see it, but that shouldn't be like pointing all arrows to this is, the whole screen. Give us
Neon
money,
lights.
we need it, right? So to answer your question, another thing we can do is, or find out more information. They click on it and just get the email. Hey, be a part of a newsletter. Be a part of, what's going on in your community. So it's like you said, the lower funnels of like, okay, I'm not ready to really volunteer. I'm not really ready to give money, but I want more information. So then you have like a little email, a field where, they can get, a newsletter. And so that's the lower of the funnel, right? But even then, you can walk them through a story. So even on the homepage, as they scroll down, you can have the different projects. So you could say, what I love to tell people is like, okay, if this project costs $10,000 or $50,000 or $100,000, well, then show a counter, like a ticket. Like, hey, we got 25,000 of the 50,000 that we need. And then this project, we got 75,000 out of the 100,000 that we need. And then it allows. What I love about that approach is that it allows the person who wants to help financially be control of what aspect of your organization they want to give. Because when you usually just kind of give to the whole organization, they don't know how you're going to spend your money. They don't know if you're going to be paying for the secretary in the office. Are you paying for the president? Are you paying for someone actually, who actually needs the money? They don't know. And so I think it's better if you actually disclose what percentage does go to the actual people, and if there's projects they could actually fund, and then they decide where they want to put their money, because now they feel more involved in what you're doing. They feel like a sense of ownership. Like when I give a money to a building fund in my old church back in the day, we gave a lot of money. I didn't know if I paid for the tile or the toilet or the like I don't know, right? I just gave to the building fund. Where did it go? I don't know, right? And so where this is like, people want more ownership, and you give it to them by saying, hey, if you're you can still have the general donate, but you can also have the, oh man, all they need is 25 more grand to cover that. Yeah. Awesome. Let's do it. Right. And so that's how you continue to help convert them into like being a part of what you're doing.
Yeah. And there's two things I want to mention there. Because I love that the psychology of why people give. And we did an episode last year on behavioral science and how like language can shift the way that people choose to participate. And so we'll link that up in the show notes. But the psychology of, there's those people that want to be the first to give. They want to kick off the campaign. There's the people that need to see that there's enough money that has come in already to where they feel like it is a viable fund that could potentially actually complete its mission. And then there's the people that want to be the saving it and rallying at the end. And we're the ones that closed the gap and completed the project, so you have those different types of people that want to give. So what I love about that is you can kind of visually appeal to people at their various time or their various decision-making processes and things of that nature. And also, I just want to mention, when you are creating those separate funds, always remember that if you have personnel that are directly responsible for the impact of those programs, that should be funds that are included in that goal. So I always like to throw that out there, because people tend to see what you said was absolutely spot on, but they are not overhead. If their job is to deliver the program and service and you can't do it without them, they should be included in the expense of that program or service. Because sometimes people get really nervous with designated funds. And we need to just really think about the holistic program. And that does include staff and people. So I just kind of like to throw that out there.
Yeah, you're right. Because like, if you say it has to go, like if a funder puts it, hey, I want this to go to this, you have to do it. And like you said, we own a nonprofit called Inside Outreach, and the same thing is like, when they donate to, like for us, it was the Maui fire relief efforts. And so the dollars that went to the Maui fires relief had to go to that, but if it's a flight, if it's having to rent a car, that's part of the relief efforts, to get over there and help. But it's all in the way you say it, because if you say, no, 100% of this is going to them, then you can't have it for a car or a flight, because you're telling them 100% is going to the victims and the survivors. I think it could be the terminology, but for us, we did 100%. Like none of it went to pay for our flights and all that because I just funded our own flights, and then
Sure.
100% literally did go. But I'm just saying, like, it's also in your language. I think that you have to be careful how you say, going towards versus 100% going to the victims or the survivors or whatever. Then you're kind of stuck to like, dang, we said 100% versus just saying it's going towards helping. Does that make sense? I mean,
and I
you
think
may
it's all
have
in the
more
storytelling.
experience. I don't know.
No, but I think you're right in that it's the way that we tell the story and the way that we solve the problem. And I think going back to how you get better conversions from the website is being hyper focused on this is how we solve the problem. So the video that you watched of the man picking up the dog and then the dog is all better. Well, as you watched a longer form video from that organization, it's like, okay, well, are they like a spay and neuter facility, or was it a vet that did like full health care, or did they are they just the shelter who brought him home and then they worked with everybody else to kind of do the work and now they're going to adopt him out? Like there's so many different ways to solve the problems that you're working on, whether it's homelessness or animal rescue or fire relief. So I think to your point, it's the way we tell the story and how we uniquely solve the problem that's so important in that messaging when you're kind of crafting those various programs and how you talk about the different goals that you have for the different services you're providing.
Yep. And transparency is key, right? Don't have this black box that no one knows what's in it. That's when people start to like, you got to be transparent. You got to let people know, like, hey, here's how it's going to get spent here. And you're obligated for that anyway through the government. But it's just, there's too many in this kind of spiritual or political climate. You want to make sure that you are fully transparent and people know where the money's going, who's involved. That way they have confidence in supporting you, and really too, like when you're starting to give to these organizations, these organizations, if you're an organization that has a strong political stance, that can hurt you. Right. So when you talk about storytelling, like be careful with trying to be too strong on your political stance, whether you're on the left or the right side of the aisle, it doesn't matter. Like if your goal is really to help people and nothing that you have to do is there to help. I mean, nothing that you have to do has anything to do with politics or social issues, then get out of that chair. Don't go on that soapbox. Don't try to have messaging that to support some kind of issue. Help the people you're trying to help without the political jargon, without the political, because that will hurt you. And I don't care. I'll take money from the left and I'll take money from the right. Money is money and it'll spend whatever we want. I need to help the people we're helping. Right. And so for me, I have different political ideology than a lot of people here in Hawaii, but I'm not going to let that affect me. And I'm going to bench it. And that's not for my nonprofit. Like, hey, I'm going to help with anybody who wants to love people and help people. So that messaging has to come through no matter what walk of life. Right. But then when you start getting this storytelling of like making a stand and attacking a side, then you alienate yourself or you alienate people from being able to help you. And so I would, and obviously with politics or your 501c3, you're limited anyway to what you can say anyway, but you can still talk about social issues. But again, if that's part of it, if like, let's say you have a nonprofit that it's because this political idea is why we have these issues, then that's fine. And then, be strong in that. And you're going to have people that's going to be strong in that. But if it has nothing to do with, that, then then stop talking, try to win on that hill, like trying to be a voice box for that. Let the lobbyists and all those people be the voice for that. You be the voice for the person who's hurting and help them.
I think that's so true. And I think especially right now, we're recording this podcast in February. It will not go live until, I don't know, late. And I think it'll be a couple months before this goes live. April. No. Just kidding. April. Sorry. Multitasking is not my strong suit when I'm trying to talk. But I think, what we're seeing right now is rapid fire changes that are coming and going. So like today is February 5th. And so, for example, it was even something as quick as the USPS is not going to be accepting packages from China. And then like 12 hours later, nope, it just got rescinded. And so I think to your point, we're living in this time of like up and down, up and down, up and down. No matter how you feel about what those up and downs are, things are changing rapidly and then going back and then changing and going back. So I think simplicity, what I'm hearing from you is simplicity in your storytelling, stick to the transparency, stick to the work that you are truly here to do and the work that you know is going to make an impact. And right now, more than ever, shut out the noise. And focus on the good that you're here to do. And that is what should be reflected on your website. And that is what should be the messaging you're sharing with people and how you're going to cut through the noise and connect with your donors just on a human to human level.
Yeah. And I love how you frame that beautifully. And just as you're creating the content, don't put anything in your video that will age the content.
Yeah.
Because then you have to re-record it. Right. And so if you're trying to focus on some political issue, social issue, to your point of China, right, or the new thing with deportation, and you're helping, maybe you have an organization helping, illegal people get health care or whatever. And then all of a sudden you have this strong video on your homepage that talks about whatever. Well, then let's just say some law passes next month. Executive order comes through saying, hey, we changed our mind. Now your thing's dated. Well, they changed it. What are you talking about? Right. And so try to not have content on there that will age you or put you into a season. Unless you have a lot of money to spend, to redo the video or you have on staff, that's fine. But if you don't have a lot of money to invest into video, make sure that video is timeless. Like this will be a good video for today. And it'll be a good video 5 years from now, no matter what's going on in our political or spiritual climate. Right. That's hard to do. But then again, if you have a videographer on staff and, oh no, we can pop this out, then yeah, you could focus on kind of relevant, don't be tone deaf to what's happening around us, right? And you can be more direct. But again, know your place, know what kind of nonprofit you are. And if that's part of the bylaws, it's part of what you do, then okay, you can be more aware of the climate and then not be tone deaf to what it's saying. But I think most nonprofits, at least for me, it's more to do with like trying to be tone deaf so that we can just deal with the issue. Yeah. Because if I get wrapped up in this, it's gonna, we're just gonna create wars and it's not gonna work.
Yeah. Well, I think that goes back to your short form purposes behind short form and long form content. Keep your long form content timeless. You can have a little bit more leeway with your short form because it's not as produced.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think that's great. Okay. Well, so many good things to think about. I really love that you brought up the timeliness of things. I think that's really important and something we often forget as we start to put together our content strategies. But if you kind of had any last words of wisdom around kind of storytelling, how we start to put together how we want to show up in the world, what might you want to leave listeners with?
I just think, it's just, the testimony or the story of the redemption, again, going back to that, it's just tell that story and tell the story truthfully, transparently, and just say, hey, here's how we help people. And it's not rocket science. It's just like, tell a good story. And if you look at other nonprofits, how they're telling their story, and just see how they're doing it. And it's okay to copy how they do it, because they're copying it all the way back, goes back to Greece, right? I went to Greece with my daughter last year, and this is where theater started, right? We went to Philippi. I'm not Philippi.
Amazing.
Delphi. We went to Delphi, where theater, I think, began. We went and saw where the theater, now they were worshiping, the Greek gods, but whatever. That's where theater started. It's like the ultimate storytelling. We went to the genesis of it in Delphi. And so we off copied all the way back to the Greeks. So it's okay to see something and be inspired by how they did it and then tell the story. And so don't see if I don't want to copy them. Well, that's a big organization and there's a reason why they continue to be successful. Right. And so be inspired. I see it not copying, be inspired about other organizations, from their stuff, and just tell a great story. It's just in the issue. What's the issue? Get some stats. So I tell people, what is the issue? What are some stats around the issue? And then what is the solution? And then how they can get involved and see the fruit of the solution. That's the story. I don't care however it is. If you follow that, you're going to get conversion. You're gonna get people want to be involved. You're gonna, I helped an organization last year. I said, hey man, your website is garbage, and I'm just I shoot straight forward. It's garbage. No one's want to donate to you.
Yeah.
And I said, you need to tell the story this way, the same way I'm telling you. And they did a video. They didn't have a video of the head guy, the director, nothing. Like, why is not the director talking to people? Why aren't you not telling people, like, here, I'm the director, right? And so we changed it the way I just said it, and then they raised way more money, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, it's just that same simplicity. It's just, again, it's the solution, stats around the solution, not like my opinion about it. It's like, no, here are actual stats.
Yeah.
Here's how we can help. And then here's the fruit of people helping.
Yep. That's so good. Well, Daniel, I really, really appreciate you taking time to share your insights with our listeners today. If people want to connect with you more and learn more about the work that you do, how can they do that?
Yeah, you can go to danielmolina.life. And I'm going to make sure that is my URL.life because I have, there it is. Yeah, danielmolina.life. And it has everything about me, who I am, and what I do.
I love it. And we will link everything up in the show notes at thefirstclick.net/297. So you can grab everything there. But Daniel, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
So big thank you again to Daniel for joining me in this episode. Again, you can find additional resources, links, and information in the show notes at thefirstclick.net/297. We are getting closer to that crazy episode 300. So excited. But thank you so much for listening. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss our episodes. They come out weekly, and you never know when a bonus episode is going to pop in there. And I would love it if you would leave a comment if you're watching this on YouTube under the description to let me know, what was your favorite takeaway? What did you really learn from this? And what are you excited to start to implement in your business? For now, thank you so much for listening and spending a little bit of time with me each week. I will see you in the next one.